Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TEPSA Talk, our podcast for the TEPSA organization. And this is our series called In Praise of Principals, where I ask principals where they find joy. And it's real interesting to hear some of the answers about where principals are joyful. But I've gone around the state. I've met a lot of principals at coffee shops because I don't get to go in schools this year. But it is amazing to me the resiliency and the happiness and the joy that principals find even in the strangest of times. But today, I'm just really excited. A very good friend of mine, Kimbrelle Lewis, is going to be joining us. She is currently the president of the National Association of Elementary School Principals. So we're really stepping out there and getting the best of the best. She's going to be talking to us today. So I want to welcome you, Kimbrelle, and ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Mark. I'm so glad to be here. I'm Kimbrelle Barbosa Lewis. I'm a principal. I'm the principal of Cordova Elementary in Cordova, Tennessee, which is in the Memphis area. And I also serve, as you mentioned, as the president of the National Association of Elementary School Principals. And I'm so glad to be here today. It is truly my pleasure and my honor. People may not know this, but I really look up to Mark. Remember the first time I met him. And I really appreciate how you kept in touch over the years and just been such a motivator for me.
Well, Kimbrelle, that's flattering. I don't believe that. I've learned a lot from you. You cleaned up all the mess that was created by me. So I appreciate that. For those of you who don't know, I was president of the NAESP as well, and really enjoyed that. And I've gotten to know Kimbrelle and her lovely family over the years. And she is a rock star principal. So Kimbrelle, thanks a bunch for that. But tell me a little bit about your school. What's it like? What are the grade levels? What's it like?
Yeah, so my school is a pre-K through fifth grade school with all of our students enrolled in pre-K and also in our special education courses. We have under 800 students. It is an urban school, and it's in an area of the city called Cordova. Part of it is a city of its own, and part is unincorporated Memphis. Right. And so it's an area that people move in and out. Very few people are really from Cordova. And so we get to meet new kids every year. We have some students who, of course, been with us their entire school career. But that's our school. I've been at Cordova since 2014. I was a principal previously at another school. So we are really quite a family at our school. I love our faculty and staff is very close. And that was the one thing I remember when I started, and that has continued, that I just felt at home there. And our teachers do everything possible to make our students feel that way as well.
Oh, super. I love to hear about what the different kinds of schools all across this nation is just fascinating. And as I was telling you earlier, I visited a frontier school, which was really lots of differences, but lots of similarities. So I like seeing the similarities and differences of the different schools, but there's so many. You got kids, and that's the one thing we all have, those kids. Well, it's been a very challenging year for all the principals and teachers and students and parents I've talked to. But you've had a double challenge because you've had the challenge of being away from your school and just kind of trying to stay connected, but also the challenge of NAESP president during a COVID year. What have you found to be some of the most challenging things you've dealt with this year?
I think the most challenging is for me as a principal is just not getting to be with my students. Yeah. And I'm sure most principals feel that way, I'm remote because I'm with NAESP, but my school is 100% remote. So is the district. So the entire district has been remote. And so I really miss those opportunities to check in on my students. That's the hardest thing. As far as being the president of NAESP, I'm really fortunate, and we all are very fortunate that so much can be done now with technology. So every day I have a meeting or a webinar or a podcast or something virtually. I miss getting to go visit schools That's what I would normally be doing, as you got to do, or go to conferences and see other school leaders face to face. I miss that a lot. I think that's what keeps us going, that
Yep.
ability to work with our colleagues, to collaborate, to even just have downtime with them. That keeps us going when things are challenging. I miss that a whole lot.
Yeah.
And that's just the biggest challenge, which I think most people are experiencing.
Yeah. Well, I'll let our audience know that Kimbrelle is an adopted Texan. We adopted her after she's
Absolutely.
came to our TEPSA conference and made such an impact on everybody. And so welcome back to Texas, Kimbrelle.
I'm so glad to virtually. Texas is my second home.
There you go.
And I'm not just saying this because I can say anything if it weren't true. TEPSA took me in like Tennessee. You know, it felt like Tennessee #2.
Yeah.
That has not changed. We still keep in touch, you know, we still each other messages. And there's a big heart in Texas, and Texas principals do so much because it's such a large, diverse state. The schools you have, a tremendous amount of independent school districts, but to see the way that all the principals come together at TEPSA is amazing. And I want to thank you for, you know, being such a huge part of that, Mars, to bring me in. And, you know, I've said, hey, I'll come to Texas after our presidency. And so I'm holding y'all to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can't wait to get you back down here. You know, that one of the things I asked the folks I interview is an idea that principals can use, just like this week, an idea that principals can use. You have anything that you could share with our principals about that?
Yeah, I would say if we get closer to the holidays, this is the time to be mindful of the health of your family, students, and then what you need. Couple of things that have brought my days as we've been home is when I do get to communicate with students. So I would say, you know, do some connecting time with students and shout outs with students. The other thing is if you're in person, Mark, you shared something with me that other principals are doing, and I always did this. Around for the holidays, I always, of course, did a holiday party. My school this year is doing a drive-through holiday luncheon.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Isn't that great? I thought that was
Yeah.
great. So you get to do a little drive-through holiday luncheon. But if you're in person, we always played Santa and elves. We would, you know, decorate our cart. We, at the beginning of the year, found out everybody's favorite things.
Yeah.
And so we would deliver some of those favorite things. And if you're virtual and you can't do that, the leadership staff may want to take the opportunity to actually go just do little drop-offs, porch drop-offs to your teacher staff, because they need that. I've heard from teachers this year, this is the most difficult year they've ever had in education. And I'm talking about teachers with 20, 30 plus years. And so just a little bit of appreciation makes a difference. Drawings for things like spa days, or, you know, getting to shop at Amazon. Those things make a difference, and they appreciate it so much. And finally, don't forget about yourself. I never spend enough time just taking care of myself, and I don't think any principal does. So just taking some me time, and I spoke with Dr. Franks yesterday about that. He was like, why don't you, there's something I was sharing with him I really wanted to get done. He said, well, what's keeping you from getting it done? And he goes, I know. You got your kids there, you're trying to work, you're trying to do all of this. And so a lot of principals are in that situation. My kids are home working virtually. My husband's home working virtually.
Yeah.
And so there's no escaping all that we're doing in one location, right? But there's a little something that you can do for yourself, even if that's taking a moment to go get a Starbucks or a Danish. Just take that time for yourself as well.
Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely correct. I see principals stressed out. I got a text message from a principal at 11:30 one night asking a question about, I'm like, why are you awake? Turn it off and go to sleep. And I think you're right. But I do remember those days you feel so committed to your school and to the kids that you work yourself to death. Well, you can see Karen, my wife, who loves you greatly,
And I love her.
She sends me to work so she can get some rest. I don't know what that is. She's working from home and I'm working from here.
I was gonna say, but she's still working.
She's still working. Oh, yes, she is.
But sometimes that time to disconnect and then reconnect makes it a lot more productive. And also just kind of bright, like when you get home, Carol's like, oh, wow, glad to see you. I know I talked to you during the day because we're working, but it can be refreshing to have just a little bit of time where you're working separately or working from a different location.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, finally, I want to give you an opportunity to share how you find joy. It's just a strange time and it's so stressful and people are just at their wits' end. But I see so many principals who still with a smile on their face, and you're one of those. Why do you find it so joyful? What do you enjoy about being a principal? Where do you find that joy?
Well, again, it's really for me and my students and also with my teachers. There have been a couple of messages that I've gotten this year that, were really life-changing for me because I do get tired and I do experience burnout like everyone else. And when you've been an administrator for quite a few years, there are times that you have to reflect on what's your passion now, what's keeping you. And this summer, I got an email from a former student. This is a student that we had a great connection. My daughter reminds me so much of her. And each day she would come to school and she got herself ready in the mornings. And sometimes she needed help. So we would spend time combing hair and, getting her ready for her day. And she had a very difficult situation her fourth grade year where there was some abuse. And she sent me an email this summer and said to me how much I helped to impact her life and keeping her safe. And it just because I thought about her often and I didn't know how to reach her anymore because they had to move all of that due to abuse. And she just thanked me. And and I let her and her mom know, hey, call me anytime. And so sometimes we still get to talk and we email, and I make sure she's in high school to see how she's doing in high school. And then that was it for me. Like that was my renewed commitment. And then the sweetest thing, just about a month ago, one of my second graders sent me an email saying, I miss you, Miss Lewis. And I was just, I said, I miss you too. Please email me anytime.
Yeah.
And she told me how much she missed her teacher too from last year. It was just heartwarming. The other thing is being a part of NAESP, I am so motivated by other principals. I am so motivated by how they share with me. I get to share with them. I get to work on behalf. And that's a whole different part of the work that lets me know that this is what I'm commissioned to do. This is what I'm called to do. And I think if you're in education in any form, it's a calling. It's not just a career. We don't work for the pay. We work for that calling and that ability to impact others, permanently change the lives of others in a positive way. So that's what keeps me going, even on those difficult days.
Yep. It's funny that I was talking to a legislator and I told him that being a principal is more of a mission than it is a career. And he didn't understand that. But as I've done these interviews, I can't recall any of the principals not saying this was God sent them here, or this is a mission, or this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is a calling. I have had zero have said, this is my career, this is my job. It's not. And I wish people would more understand that. I want to ask you one more question just to kind of wrap up. And that's about, since you are, you have your thumb on the nation, what do you see coming our way this next, maybe in the spring, as far as what the legislative landscape is going to look like, and as far as education goes? Do you have any inkling about where we're going or what we're doing? Or
well, I have to say to all of your listeners that I think Mark knows much more about what's coming down the legislative pike than I do. I just want to say that. Secondly, I want to say that I'm a part of, I'm from Tennessee and you're in Texas,
Mhm.
and our states are pretty conservative.
Yep.
Part of the state that I live in is not as conservative, but our states are pretty conservative. What I want to say is no matter where you land on that platform of liberal, conservative, moderate, you should be excited about the statement that Dr. Biden made about educators,
Mhm.
and that education is going to have much more of a focus in the new year. And so that's what I'm excited about. I think that our voices will be heard.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to uh, hopefully a Department of Education and Secretary of Education that have been hands-on in the
Mhm.
education field,
Mhm.
understand where we are as far as funding needed with all of the COVID relief,
Yeah.
as far as what schools really, really need.
Mhm.
That's what I'm excited to
Yeah.
see. And I do think we may see some growth and change there.
Mhm.
Um, and you may have heard something similar. I'm just excited to hopefully get hopefully that principals will be engaged in that dialogue along with other educators. So
Mhm.
that's what I think I see coming along.
Mhm.
I try to keep up with Danny Carlson, who does
Yep.
the advocacy arm of NAESP. He's right on top of it. The funding is incredibly important.
Yep.
And, as you know, we've all been waiting on the delay
Mhm.
of stimulus packages. And I don't know that everyone realizes how much that impacts schools, not just individuals or businesses, but how it gives supplies and needed relief to schools as
Mhm.
well. And so I'm hoping that in the beginning of the year, um, that we can all work together to get some of that
Mhm.
accomplished.
Yep. I think it's going to be interesting to see if we actually get an educator as our Secretary of Education. It
No,
would
why
be.
don't you run? Why don't you put
Well, I already put
throw
your
your
name in, so
okay, well, I'm putting yours in, so maybe we can work together.
that's it. We'll do it. We'll do it co. Yeah, that's great. Well, it's
I'll
been
be your
delightful.
deputy.
Oh, no, other way around. But hey, it would be co-principals at the Department of Education. I love it. Well, I tell you what, I've had a great time talking with you. I wish we could do this in person. My wife sends your love and hope your family has a great Christmas. So thank you,
Please give
Kimbrelle.
Karen my love too. And
I will
to
do it.
everyone at TEPSA, thank you for allowing me to be uh, an honorary member, and getting to do this podcast with you, Mark,
Yep.
is a great pleasure and joy.
Yeah.
Thank you again, and I hope you
Thank
have
you.
a holiday too.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.